Good day, everyone. I am honored to introduce our advocacy group, Group 5, Caribbean Children First. Our presentation is The Whole Child, the Whole Village, Protecting Childhood in a Pressured Caribbean. With me tonight, I am the host and psychologist, Dr. Chantel. Welcome. With me tonight is our child and family therapist, Dr. Kira John, our economist and developmental specialist, Miss Cheryl Ford, our social worker, Medelise Breen, our early childhood educator, Miss Samoya Shallow, our community organizer, Miss Nalani Popo, our advocacy and policy officer, Miss Miriam Nabi, and our community psychologist, Dr. Asana Sandy. Children are the soul of any society. It is the strength of our societies that are influenced by their growth, safety, and happiness. In the modern world, there are numerous families which are challenged by emotional, and economic issues, which complicate the process of offering stable care and support. This is more so in the Caribbean, where family life is still impacted by the aspect of economic hardship, natural disasters, and social change. Children's support and protection is not just a moral obligation, but a collective responsibility in the community. I will now hand you over to our child and family therapist, Dr. Kira John.
Thank you, Dr. Welcome. I want to focus on the eternal role of the child and our ethical imperative from a child and family therapist standpoint. When economic and social stress overwhelm a family, the impact of a child's mental health and social development is profound. We see it in their anxiety, their ability to form relationships, and in their sense of self. This is where our values become our clinical compass, guiding how we listen, respond, and advocate. Our work is deeply guided by the NAEYC Code of Ethics with its pillars of respect, responsibility, and relationships. We see the whole child, a person deserving of dignity, not just a set of symptoms or behaviors. The respect is non-negotiable. We have a responsibility to be their advocate, to protect their right to be heard and to feel safe. And we know that healing happens through relationships by building, trusting, positive connections with the child and their family. This aligns perfectly with the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. Article 3 states that the child's best interest must be a primary consideration. In my world, it is the ultimate ethical rule. Every therapeutic intervention, every policy we inform must ask, is this truly the best for the child's mental and emotional well-being? By anchoring our work in these ethical foundations, we do more than treat stress. We nurture resilient, whole children, even in the most overwhelming times. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. John. And I will now hand you over to our economist and developmental specialist, Miss Ford.
Thank you, Dr. Chantel, for the invitation to lend my expertise to this advocacy group. In examining the economic strategy of families, we see that unemployment and underemployment remain widespread, especially among women and young people. Even where work is available, wages often fail to keep pace with the rising cost of living, driven by inflation and our heavy reliance on imported goods. Many households throughout the Caribbean depend on informal employment, which provides little stability or access to social protection. These conditions, worsened by the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, leave families struggling to meet their children's most basic needs. The impact is profound. Financial pressure increases parental stress, disrupts family stability, and limits children's access to education, nutrition, and healthcare. In some cases, children are forced to work or miss school, while labor migration separates parents from their families. According to UNICEF and PAHO, such realities undermine children's rights to safety and development. When we view this through the lens of Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory, these challenges exist at a macro system level. The broader economic and policy environment shaping families' lives. More than 30% of Caribbean households live below the poverty line, and child poverty hovers around 35 to 40%, according to the Caribbean Development Bank. Addressing children's basic needs, therefore, requires not only family-level support, but also systemic change, where policies that strengthen social welfare, ensure equitable wages, and promote inclusive growth so every Caribbean child can thrive. Thank you, Dr. Chantel.
Thank you, Ms. Ford, and I'll now hand you over to our social worker as she gives you a breakdown.
Thank you, Dr. Welcome. In my work as a social worker, I see a painful truth every day. When a child's foundation is cracked by adversity, their very development is reshaped. In the Caribbean, this adversity is often a powerful triad: chronic conflict at home, the stress of a parent migrating for work, and exposure to community violence. For many children, this isn't a single event. It's a daily environment creating a state of constant toxic stress. This stress directly attacks three core pillars of healthy development. First, attachment. An unpredictable world makes secure, trusting bonds impossible. Second, mental health. This is physiological. Elevated cortisol, anxiety, trauma, and the child is stuck in survival mode. And third, social development. We see the inner turmoil show up as aggression or withdrawal. Crucially, these behaviors are not the problem. They are the symptom of a compromised foundation. But these cracks can be repaired. Consider Kyle. He's a 6-year-old facing that exact triad. His father migrated. He showed increased aggression at school, a cry for help, not a behavioral problem. But with a stable mentor, counseling, and social skills groups, we saw a dramatic turnaround. Kyle's story gives us the blueprint. Our strategy is to build a scaffold to support every child using 4 key supports: nurturing connections to rebuild attachment, trauma-informed support in schools and communities, pro-social spaces like after-school programs, integrated systems between schools, social services, and health. By building this scaffold, we don't just patch the cracks, we transform them into bridges toward a resilient, healthy, and hopeful future. Dr. Welcome.
Thank you to our social worker, Ms. Breen, for giving us that brief breakdown. I will now hand you over to Ms. Shallow, our early childhood educator.
Thank you, Doctor. I will be speaking on the effects on holistic development. Children who experience family conflict, migration, or community violence often live with high stress levels. This stress affects their sleep, appetite, and overall health, which can slow down physical growth and make them tired or less active in class. Bronfenbrenner, 1979, Vandel et al., 2010. It also impacts thinking and learning. When children are stressed, it's harder for them to pay attention, remember things, or solve problems. Piaget, 1952. This can lead to slower math development, making it difficult to be ready for school. Burchinal et al., 2010. Emotionally, these children may feel angry, fearful, or withdrawn because they don't feel secure. This can affect how they manage emotions or make friends. Vygotsky, 1978. Connection to early learning and readiness. When children feel anxious, they struggle to focus, follow routines, and build relationships. These difficulties interfere with key skills like literacy, numeracy, and self-control. However, a caring and supportive classroom can help reduce stress and build resilience. Birchnell et al., 2010. Some classroom challenges teachers often face aggressive behavior, short attention spans, or social withdrawal among affected children. Managing these behaviors can increase teacher stress and burnout. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Charlotte. I will now hand you over to Miss Nalani Popo as she brings us.
Thank you, Dr. Welcome. According to the article by Sir Hammond, 2024, reviewed research on parents with experience in child protection systems as peer advocates, mentors, and supporters. Forming advocacy roles include one-to-one peer advocacy, participating in parent support groups, or system-level advocacy, brief educational group sessions. Key takeaways for practice includes involve parents with experience as peer allies, use both group-based and individual support formats, provide empowerment, connection, and clarity of purpose, enable ongoing evaluation to track impact or improvement. Practical advocacy actions for community feeding programs. Based on the research by SLIDE 2024, build access in food support systems, partnerships, collaborate with SNAP, local food banks, community organizations for outreach and trust building. This advocacy focus promotes access, cultural respect, and healthier communities through consistent collaboration and inclusive outreach. Practical advocacy actions for school-based counseling. Counselors must advocate beyond individual sessions to influence school cultural policies, develop advocacy skills through training, mentorship, and networking. Use data to demonstrate the impact of counseling and supportive funding of all policy changes. Work with administrators, teachers, parents, and community partnership to raise visibly and strengthen support systems. Promotes student-friendly policies, trauma-informed discipline, flexible scheduling, and early socio-emotional support. Same for 2013. I'll now move on to the role of educators as advocates partnership with ministries. According to the research by Humanitarian Education Accelerator 2019, educators and education advocates must view the Ministry of Education as full partnership, not just a gatekeeper. Early engagement is key. Build partnership early across national, regional, and local levels to clarify roles, timelines, and responsibilities. Ensure that most strategic goals and provide evidence of impact to gain trust and support. How the program or innovation contributes beyond just technology or resources. Relationships with ministries take time, accept delays, and remain adaptable. Long-term success comes when more feels ownership through integration in national systems and sustainable financing plans. The role of educators as advocates and the partnership with NGOs. According to Funds for NGOs 2024, GO's role empowers educators to become advocates for equitable education, not just teachers, support educators through training, technology, and integration for community engagement. Educators then NGOs co-create solutions with parents, communities, and school leaders to tackle local challenges. Partnerships help educators move beyond the classroom, influencing policies, raising awareness, and mobilizing resources. It also bridges connections between schools, communities, and governments, promoting collective educational reform. Educators become local exchange agents, driving long-term community-owned educational improvement. Lastly, the role of educators advocates in the partnership with parent organizations. Article by Hannon and O'Donnell, 2021. Educators often act as emotional actors in family-school relationship, which can be complex and sensitive. Requires professional development and emotional intelligence, relational dynamics, and understanding social justice in equality. Parents' organizations act as activates for families, helping rebalance power and promote equitable partnerships. Move from superficial parental involvement to authentic collaboration built on empathy, trust, shared goals. Thank you.
I will now hand you over to Ms. Nabi to give us some information on advocacy and policies.
Thank you, Dr. Welcome, and good day, everyone. Let's refresh our understanding of Bronfenbrenner's ecological theory. It consists of 5 layers: microsystem, meosystem, exosystem, macrosystem, and chronosystem. Imagine a child's world. The microsystem is the immediate environment, including family, school, and healthcare. Agencies like schools and health clinics can collaborate directly with families to provide support. The meosystem is about the relationships between these microsystems. For example, educators and health professionals can work together to create consistent support strategies. The exosystem is the indirect environment that still affects the child. Parents' workplace, for instance, can impact their ability to attend school meetings. The macrosystem is the broader cultural context, including laws and social services. Agencies can advocate for policies that benefit children and families. Lastly, the chronosystem reflects changes over time, like shifts in family structures or economic conditions. Agencies must adapt to these changes to remain effective. Now let's talk about how agencies can collaborate using this framework. At the microsystem level, agencies can provide direct support. At the meosystem level, they can coordinate with each other. At the exosystem level, they can provide indirect support. At the macrosystem level, they can advocate for policy changes. This framework is linked to the Sustainable Development Goals, practically SDG 1, 3, and 4. By promoting equitable access to early childhood services, we can break the cycle of poverty and ensure all children receive quality education and care. In the Caribbean region, advocacy efforts are reflected in policies like the Caribbean Early Childhood Development Good Practice Guide. By working together, we can ensure that no child is left behind and that all children receive the support they need to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nabi, and I will now hand you over to Dr. Sandy as she give us our closing words.
Thank you, Chantal. To summarize the entirety of our project or our assignment, all things considered, the Caribbean Children First Advocacy Campaign highlights the necessity for social collaboration to ensure children's safety and well-being. It stresses that economic, social, and emotional challenges facing Caribbean families significantly affect child development. The campaign advocates for placing children's best interests at the heart of policy and community actions, drawing from Brentford-Brunner ecological systems theory and the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. It identifies community violence, migration, and poverty as interconnected issues impacting children's development and emphasizes resilience opportunities through collaborative care, trauma-sensitive approaches, and strong support systems across human services, health, and education sectors. Our mission emphasizes that educators, families, and communities must lead in promoting justice, fairness, and inclusion for children. Initiatives like parent support groups, school counseling, and community feeding programs highlight the effectiveness of grassroots advocacy. By supporting children, we also support the children's future. We also support the Caribbean's future aligned with sustainable development goals such as no poverty, good health and well-being, and quality education. The Caribbean Children First initiative advocates for safety, stability, and support for all children, transforming challenges into opportunities by strengthening families and fostering alliances. Our commitment is to create a Caribbean where every child can thrive with community support. Thank you.
Dr. Sandy. Thank you once more. I want to take this time to thank all our presenters for joining our program this afternoon. And I want to leave you with these lasting words. Our mission remains clear: to protect, empower, and advocate for every child's right to grow, learn, and thrive. We believe that lasting change begins when educators, families, and communities unite to nurture the whole child. Join us because every Caribbean child deserves stability, safety, support. The whole child needs the whole village. Thank you.